Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock. We are joined today by Leticia Sanders. She is a Democratic candidate for Arkansas governor. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Good to be with you. I've seen you on the campaign trail a few times at a
Yes.
couple of events, so nice to have you in studio.
Thank you.
I want everybody to get to know you a little bit better before we dive into some hardcore governor's topics here, but let's talk a little bit about just where were you born and raised, and tell me a little bit about your family.
I was born in Chicago, Illinois. I attended Holy Angels, a Catholic church, under Father Clemens, who is still holding it down and healthy. And I went to a public school as well, but I kind of love the Catholic. I love the way it was structured. You know, it had more meaning. And I moved here in the 90s, and I attended Hall High. My father, Gene Gibbons, owned the Gist House, who believed in second chances.
Sure.
And he have helped people all across the state.
Get your stuff together is what GIST stands for.
Yes.
The clean version of it.
The clean version, yes.
You know, I'm a
correct.
Hall High graduate as well.
Oh, Warriors in the house.
That's right, from the 80s there. So you moved here in the 90s, and tell me what you have been doing just work-wise. Tell me a little bit about family and stuff like that.
Well, I was just helping him with the Gist House, so it was more about getting my education, not putting me out, laboring me, and I've been servicing, mentor young men and women without recognition. And my services wasn't for recognition. I didn't need a title to do what I was supposed to do. And so that was my goal, is to unify us and educate them on who they are and what they needed to do to prosper in life.
You got kids?
Yes, I do.
Tell
I
me
have
about
3.
them. 3 kids. How old are they?
21, 19, and 13. I lost one, so I would have had 4, and he died to see it 2 days after he turned 3 months old.
Sorry to hear that. So.
Yes. So.
Well, you got your hands full with 3 for sure. I have 3 kids too, and in some of those age range as well. So, tell me why you're running for governor. You were a surprise candidate. You were the last candidate to file for governor on the last day of filing. I don't think anybody knew you were planning on running for governor. What spurred you to come out and file and run?
They were aware. As of last year, I spoke to Dylan in January of last year and made him acknowledge me as trying to
Talking
be...
about party officials?
Correct.
Oh, right, okay.
That I wanted to run for governor. And I was asking questions of what it entailed, what I need to do. And he was like, 10,000 signatures will waive the filing fee, or $10,000 for the filing fee. And that was last year. And I've been reaching out to them. I paid my membership dues last year. I never received the receipt. I never received anything as far as the function. I tried to stay on top of it, as well as calling them and going to the headquarters. It was unsuccessful as far as reaching anyone, but that didn't stop me. I had determination, and that's what I needed to do. So I was late, and I wouldn't say late.
You beat the deadline. You weren't late.
I beat
You made
the
it in time.
deadline.
That's all that matters. So.
And I was focusing on more of getting signatures, which was a hard task, working and going to school, because I am a grad student at Webster University. And I was looking for more getting the signatures so that I could use my funds towards my campaign. But I already had it in my mind, if I was unsuccessful as far as getting that signatures completed, that I will be filing with money. And that's what I did.
All right, let's talk about some positions that you may have as a governor's candidate here. Pro-life, pro-choice? Where do you fall on the issue of abortion?
Kind of both. I wish that our women wouldn't abort their children, but under the circumstances, we don't know what kind of circumstances lie for them. But what I believe, the only way they should be giving their babies up, if it's detrimental to the health or if they've been raped. That's my concerns. Now, just having children and wanting to abort them because you feel like you can't take care of them, well, you should have been more responsible about what you were doing to prevent that. And you need to be more preventive if you don't want them babies that you know you can't take care of, because then that put a burden on the system. You know, now you're looking for the government to help you for something you knew already that you couldn't do. And that's something that I enforced in my kids. And my older 2, they don't have children. And that was one of the things I wanted them to be prepared of making sure when they bring a life into the world that they are financially stable, so that they wouldn't have to depend on the government.
What about the death penalty? Would you carry out the death penalty if you
Totally
were
against of it. When we're looking at the death penalty, it's more of being playing the role of God. Everybody have the right, everyone make mistakes, and we don't know the circumstances. And when you're doing the death penalty, are we analyzing was that cause of a self-defense? So that don't be analyzed as much as, oh, he murdered someone. It's two sides to every story, and the one that died is not able to tell the story, only the one that's alive. And we don't consider the circumstances. So no, I wouldn't be for the death penalty. I will be in keeping them incarcerated, not being eligible for parole. If it's found that it was a hate act or something that could have been prevented. It's something that we need to be able to de-escalate the situations, and it shouldn't be more of pulling a gun to resolve the solution.
Let's talk taxes. There's a lot of conversation going on at the state capitol about cutting taxes. There's some conversation about maybe shifting some, if you do some tax cuts, maybe you raise some taxes in some other areas or enforce some taxes in some other areas. What's your position on tax cuts, tax increases? What would you do if you were governor?
Well, I wouldn't be looking to increase taxes. I feel that, like the first draft of the Constitution said, that individuals shouldn't be directly taxation. So my goal is to alleviate some of the imposed taxes that are on the people. And two of my concerns is the property tax. Once the individual have paid their property off, I don't feel that they should be obligated to still be paying property tax. It defeats the purpose of them being a homeowner. It's kind of say, hey, you got your name on the title, but I can always come back and get it.
Where would you make up that difference in revenue, though? I mean, that brings a lot of money in for local school districts and stuff like that. Would they just have to learn to tighten their belts?
No, well, that's what the recreational tax of 21 and older come in place. It's a state that uses it, if I'm not mistaken, Washington or Massachusetts.
About recreational marijuana.
Correct.
Right, okay. So you would maybe advocate recreational marijuana with a tax burden on it to make up for property tax cuts.
Right, and it's not a tax that would be enforced on every individual. It's just the ones that I guess will want that. Mm-hmm. So it's for helping the special projects as far as the roads, allocating money to the farmers, because I'm interested in helping the farmers produce organic foods. And that will help out a lot. I've seen, well, I've not seen, but I've actually did a research on Colorado and Washington and how much it prospered that state off just the recreational tax. But their recreational tax is kind of different from what I'm trying to put in place. They taxes based off 15 to 28% off of the marijuana project itself, and not just up front saying, okay, well, here's this tax. And then mine is up front, where I will have it to where I designated for RT, so recreational tax will automatically be on your driver license. And it's a tax that would be paid every year. If that's what you want, it'll help you as far as being in trouble with the law, so they won't be arresting the people just on a non-toxic stimulant, which is the most safest thing. We look at marijuana as a problem, but we're not looking at alcohol that we know scientifically takes a person out of the character and make them do things that they wouldn't normally do under the circumstance of the influence.
You've been spending some time around your father's gist house over there, I can tell.
Yes.
Let's talk about Arkansas Works. Do you support that program? Would you work to repeal it? Do you think it needs some changes?
I do not agree with the at-will law, if that's what you're referring
well,
to.
Arkansas Works, the health care program.
Oh, the health care, okay.
Was the private option. The governor has expanded it to require work requirements now for those that are...
Which don't make sense. Mm. How can we make the people work when they're trying to work right now and can't work? I mean, the rural area, it's hard for certain people to commute already. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's a problem. So you're saying once they lose that job, they no longer have health care? Because that's what it's going to be, and that's following the place of the at-will law.
I think the push, though, is that that if you lose your job and you keep this health insurance off of this plan, that you are required to go look for work or to find work. I think there are job training requirements, and at least that's how it's been explained.
And we're sending the people out to look for work that already been looking for work, and we have lack of resources for that. So it just don't make sense to say go look for work as if the people are not already looking. They are looking. it's a lot of people, they don't just want to live off the system. I mean, we have some that do, but we need to get this state more on an 80-20 rule, that more of us are being productive. And then we have to look at the 20 rule being the disabled, so which we need to care for. But if we don't pull up the resources for them to be able to be productive and work, we can't put stipulations on them to work for health care.
Let's talk one last topic here before we wrap up. Let's talk about prisons. Arkansas has been pushing the limits of its capacity for prisons. Sometimes they talk about building another prison. They've looked at sentencing guidelines and reforms to change. What would you do as governor to reduce the prison population?
Well, it will actually be a rehabilitation center, which is it was designed to do, but it's not being enforced. The mass incarceration is a problem, and it's more of non-violent offenders than violent offenders, which is a problem for me. Because the recidivism should have been low a long time ago, which shows that they're not doing their job. And it's more on a profit level than you trying to make sure that the people are able to function in society. And enforcing education in the prison system is a must. Anger management, and I know some prisons do, but we need to quit focusing on punishment and pain of the people that have done the crime and focus on, okay, maybe you just need some resources. We need to analyze what we can do to improve you and to make you a better person than, oh, I'm gonna just ridicule you and keep locking you up and hope that you learn your lessons. And maybe you haven't learned your lessons because you keep coming here, but that's not the answer. You don't make it helpful for them when they get out. It's like double jeopardy. You do the crime and then you come out here and you still faced with the crime because you can't get work, you can't have a place to live. So how do you want them to change? No resources for them to change.
Yeah. All right, last question for you. What's been your favorite part on the campaign trail this time around? You've gotten out there for the first time as a candidate. What's been the most enjoyable part of the experience?
Meeting new people. Seeing that it's so many people on the same accord. I like the mindset, and I'm loving that we as a people can actually unify, but we need to do it as a whole with everyone, not stipulations because they've committed a crime or anything. We need to think about everybody as a whole.
All right. The Democratic primary is May 22nd. She is Leticia Sanders, Democratic candidate for governor.
Sanders.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you
as
so much
well.
for being here.
Thank you.
All right. That's all for today's program. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you next time.